Around the corner, I have freshman state representative Ken Mendonca. Come on around the corner. I appreciate your coming in today.
Thank you so much for having me, Kate.
Well,
and
you
the
were
local team.
Well, you were kind of in the thick of things this past weekend. The Portsmouth GOP
Republican Town Committee, yes.
Republican Town Committee. How many people were at this event?
I would say about 80 or so. It was a good turnout. The weather may have kept some folks away because we sold more tickets than that, but it still turned out to be a great day. We had a bunch of great candidates.
So you had candidates out. I mean, we are in cycle for 18, are we not?
Yes, we are.
We heard that Patricia Morgan had said, hey, this is why I'm running, so we kind of put the pressure on and made her say that yes, she did say that. She'll be having a more formal announcement. But the other candidates there as well, kind of what was the discussion about the state of GOP politics right now here in Rhode Island?
Look, I think that we have a tremendous amount of good candidates. It's unfortunate that they're all running for one seat, and we had Representative Bobby Nardolillo there as well, and we had retired Judge Flanders there to give us a Senate perspective. Again, two really good candidates. Unfortunately, looks like we may have a primary there as well.
So GOP fever grips the hub. Talk with us, what's going to really differentiate, especially let's start with gubernatorial. How is this all going to play out?
That's a very good question, Kate. I really think that there's a message there. Look, the policies that we've tried really haven't worked. Even what we've tried to do at the General Assembly level, we really need to have a vision where we try to grow the economy, real true growth, and let's focus on our core strengths, and I think that the candidates are really focused on trying to do that. Let's try to get us out of the bottom.
So let's talk, I think last time I saw you was on the campaign trail.
Yes.
When we talked extensively. Got the freshman year underneath the belt. Give us sort of the recap, the rundown. Let's what were you surprised with your freshman year when you were up there?
Look, I have thoroughly enjoyed my time. It's been a learning experience. Somebody who followed politics and thought I knew what I knew, and then realized that I didn't know what I really thought I knew. And I think that I've had some really good colleagues that have helped me along. And I think the number one thing is that the speaker has an awful lot of power here in the state. Mm-hmm. And what the speaker wants, the speaker's going to focus to try to get that.
Now, what would you say, looking at the session, either from the GOP perspective or in general, that you say were wins for Rhode Island coming out of the session this year?
Well, certainly you can't argue against the car tax. That is a big win. What we're going to have to look at, though, is the growth here, and whether or not we're going to be able to increase our revenues to continue that program. And with that may curtail some of the other programs that we may want to try to implement to try to reduce some of the taxes here and the tax burden on businesses. So that's going to be a very interesting balancing act to look at next year and the years out.
Do you think, we saw how the session sort of fell apart at the 11th hour, the traditional session, and then going back into the special session. What's your reaction to how it was handled on the House and the Senate side, especially as it pertains to the car tax?
Look, I think I understand what the Senate was trying to do. I think the Speaker was clear about what he wanted to do with the car tax months early on in the session, and I think that should have been negotiated before that Friday night. I mean, that should have been done well in advance, and clearly there was some sort of power play. And in the end, we ended up with a few more bills with the special, when the team came back from recess.
And so came back for the special session, but right now, kind of all eyes are what's going on with the PawSox. They're having special hearings. There was just one in Pawtucket. They were up at the State House before. What's your thoughts on the PawSox Stadium?
Well, I do have my opinion, but I also feel that as a representative, we will be seeing the PawSox legislation before the Finance Committee on October 10th, and we hope that all your viewers come out to listen to the testimony. On the surface, I'm very cautious about it. As we know, it's been a net loss for the taxpayer, and when we look at making investments, whether it's home runs for GE Digital, depending on where you stand, the money that we're infusing there, at least those jobs are coming back, that those are $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 jobs that we're employing people here. In the ballpark, we will find out. I happen to know of somebody who worked at the park, and they were making $8.60 an hour. So that's part-time jobs. That's not what we want. And I understand, and I have all the respect in the world for Mayor Gravian. I know he is doing everything he can to try to revitalize his town, his city, and I respect that, and all the people who are trying to move forward with this. So I'm going to keep my eyes and ears open when they come before the Finance Committee, and we'll ask vetting questions, and we'll see, what will really work to make sure that we minimize the risk for the taxpayer. I mean, can we invest those dollars in something else to get a quicker return? Because anything that we put back that's paid over a 20 or 30-year period, there's a net present value that comes into play with those dollars. So it'll be, I look forward to the hearings, and we'll keep our eyes and ears open, and we'll see how it all plays out.
So what do you hear from the constituents in Portsmouth when you come back and you're there and they want to ask you about what happened up there this year, or they're talking about the PawSox? What are you hearing?
Well, right now, and since the announcement, there hasn't been a lot of support for the PawSox. There hasn't been a lot of support at all, and that's why we will see how all of this shakes out. I mean, I do think that as a government, we're responsible for infrastructure. So if there's roads, water, lighting, sidewalks, and the like, that we should be investing in that. I think that overall, people are just, we have a lot of retirees, and they say, look, our pensions are being taxed. And we can just move a few miles, in Portsmouth, we can just move a few miles up the road into Massachusetts, and it's a common theme. And it just doesn't make sense to me that these are people who've given back to us. They're great in the community. They don't use a lot of services, or almost no services. They're good for the community, and I really think that these are the people that we want to retain. And on the military side, I've been in the defense industry for 25 years, Kate. We have military officers who retire here in their early 40s, and they have a decision: either they stay here or they move on. And in Navy Times and other publications, the worst place to retire is here in the state of Rhode Island. And these are people who still have years to work. They're highly educated, highly trained. That is the type of workforce that we want. When we say we don't have the right skills, well, we do have people here, and we're just forcing them out.
So what do you expect in 2018? Let's talk a little bit about the PawSox. If things go, they go through the hearings, they have a vote, say it is approved. Now, of course, there's support in labor for the jobs to build the stadium. There's some support in political circles as well. Will it be an issue in 2018 for folks running? Now, let's also harken back. We thought the truck tolls were going to be an issue, and it turned out that wasn't the case that some had thought it might be. But will the PawSox be an issue in 2018 if it goes through?
Again, that's a good question, Kate, and we'll have to see, that vote, if it happens early, will people forget about it in November? Or will they remember that if I'm sure that other representatives and senators must be getting some communiques. I actually put a letter to the editor in some of the local publications saying, I want to hear from my constituents. I want you to give me your feedback as to what you think. What do you think about this proposal? It's probably, I don't know whether or not it's going to be a real needle mover. I suspect it probably won't be if it gets passed early on.
We'll see what ends up happening. Again, taking a look at 2018 here, as we just had the piece today in Go Local about who might be running for governor in 2018. But let's go even bigger. Let's go to national politics. What's your take on the performance of President Donald Trump to date?
I know that he has tried, and I think the party as a whole, that they've been very disappointing. And I think that, we have had a fractured government for a very long period of time. Both parties point blame at each other as to, why immigration hasn't moved, why we haven't, reformed the Affordable Care Act. So that's very disappointing. I do think that we really need to focus on us. We need to focus on us as a country. We have to focus on our investments. And we have a lot of other countries that are pursuing us, and I think that we really, at some point, we help a lot of people just as much as in this state. 40% of our budget goes to help people. We still have the fundamental things that we need to keep the economy going and grow the economy and help the people here. We talk about jobs locally, and we have the debate about the minimum wage. Well, if we can grow the economy, we can create it so $20 an hour is the minimum wage, because we have competition. We have true competition when we have employers, competing for employees and holding and retaining employees. And I think there are things that we can do. We just have to focus that that's really what we want to do.
What have you thought about, again, all the attention and hullabaloo paid to the president's tweets on the NFL?
Yeah, again, I would say I wish he wouldn't do that. But I mean, that's how he operates. I mean, that is him. And the speech that he gave at the rally, it just steamrolled, and we know what we have today. And again, that's very disappointing. We see that, another fracture, which is very disappointing.
So how do you think, let's go down the ranks against the rank and file, General Assembly, getting GOP members to run for assembly seats? What's your predictions in terms of fielding candidates for 18?
We had our event, and I just tried to reiterate to everybody who's there, if you know somebody who might be interested, reach out to us, reach out to the chairman, Brandon Bell, to try to make sure it's in the best interest of the people here in the state of Rhode Island. And when you look at the budget, and you look at your wallet, and you look at what you're paying taxes, it's controlled by the Democratic Party. So it's one of these choices that if you think that you are better off and that legislation that was passed makes you better, then you're not going to make a change. But having some diversity in our local government here at the State House is in the best interest for all Rhode Islanders.
Well, I wanted you to come in again because we were kind of ringing on your phone this weekend as to what took place at Portsmouth again. Patricia Morgan saying she's running. Alan Fung, saying he's running. He's said he's running, whether they have their official kickoff events coming up soon. We're going to be seeing a lot more from people declaring again for 18. So I appreciate your taking the time to come up here. Give us your thoughts, again, from that event, kind of where your constituents are with the big issue right now that we're looking at with the PawSox. And of course, I'm sure we'll talk before January when you get back in. So anything in the meantime, just let us know. I appreciate your coming in today.
I will. Thank you so much for having me.
Representative Mendonca, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. I'll let you around the corner. Okay, freshman GOP legislator from Portsmouth, Ken Mendonca, came in today to tell us a little bit about the event that took place this weekend. He said over 80 people at the Portsmouth GOP town hall meeting. They had candidates there turning out. All eyes are on 18. Wanted to get a sense from his freshman year how he thought things played out up at the State House, what he thinks moving forward will take place. Again, all eyes on the PawSox. He is in House Finance. They are going to be having hearings, I think he said October 10th, so we're going to be keeping an eye on what's taking place up there as well. Appreciate him taking the time to come here to Providence to talk with you, our viewers, here at the Navigant